Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marie and this is Marie Edwards Crime. If you guys really enjoy my content, you can support me by subscribing to my channel and by also liking this video. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. This is the case of Jennifer Dulos, who went missing on May 24, 2019. So who was Jennifer Dulos? Jennifer Dulos was born September 27, 1968, and she was born in New York City. She was born to Gloria Ortember and Hilliard Farber. She attended Brown University and writing was her passion. She went on to earn a master's degree in writing and she received her degree from New York University. She made a living as a writer and she was actively writing on her blog. While attending Brown University, Jennifer met Fotis Dulos while he was still married to his first wife. They eventually got married and they married in Manhattan just over a month after he got a divorce. And this was back in 2004. And subsequently, they decided to move to Farmington, Connecticut, together, obviously. And at this point, when they decided to move, they were married. They went on to have 5 kids together, 2 sets of twins, and 1 single child. So 2 sets of twins, that's 4 kids. Plus they had an additional, 1 single pregnancy, not multiples. Fotis established himself as a successful award-winning luxury home builder. And, at this point, during this time, Jennifer was still, she was a writer. She wrote often on her blog about motherhood, the highs and lows, mostly the highs. And she also talked about her marriage. At the time, it was a troubling marriage. In a blog post that she made in March 12, 2012, she wrote, this is quote unquote, "I wish I were a strong person and that confrontation did not both scare me and impel me." This is kind of sad because nobody should feel like that. And sometime after that, Jennifer discovers that her husband, Fotis, is having an affair with somebody at work, and her name is Michelle Troconis. Despite his affair, Jennifer decided to stay with him and they stayed together for a few months after that. But finally, she had decided that she had enough of this. And on June 20th, 2017, Jennifer decided to file for divorce. On June 19th, 2017, Jennifer and her kids left the home that night. She did not tell her husband that she was leaving the home, so she basically packed up everything that she could. And guys, can we mention the house for a quick second? This home was stunning. The brick colonial home was about 10,000 square feet. I mean, not just stunning, this house was gigantic. It was on a private road that Fotis's company had developed. It has 6 bedrooms, 8.5 bathrooms, 4 attached garages, different recreational rooms. It had an elevator, seriously stunning. And it had literally everything. And I mentioned this just to say that, hey, even though it may look like people really having what seems to be perfect, they have a beautiful home. They have 5 beautiful kids together. Literally, from the outside looking in, it looked like they had everything going on. But obviously, their personal life was crumbling. And at this point, they had a broken marriage. I hate divorce, but sometimes it's necessary. On June 19th, that same night that she left with the 5 kids, Fotis makes a 911 call expressing that he was worried about his wife and kids, and I'll insert the 911 call here.
I'm worried about my wife and kids because they left to go to New York and I haven't been able to get in touch with them.
After he made that 911 call, that same month, Jennifer and her 5 kids had started living in New Canaan, which is about roughly 70 miles or so from Farmington, Connecticut. So this is from where they used to live at to their new place. It's 70-mile distance. And it's also important to mention that Jennifer mentioned in her divorce documents, and this is quote unquote, "I know that filing for divorce and filing this motion will enrage him, and I know know he will retaliate by trying to harm me in some way. Like, she already knew what was going on with this guy. Like, she already knew. Jennifer had also alleged that Fotis had threatened to kidnap their children if she did not agree with his stipulations, his terms to the divorce. He had also bought a gun that year. Like, he didn't decide to buy a gun anytime before that, but this specific year he did. And at this point, there were hundreds of motions filed in court between the two. Jennifer had also described Fotis' behavior as irrational, unsafe, bullying, controlling, and threatening. So very narcissistic. She requested an emergency order of custody, but the two were given temporary joint custody until the whole process was finalized. And then Jennifer ended up requesting an emergency order of custody in early 2018, but she was awarded sole physical custody of the 5 kids because the judge had basically found out that he had broke multiple court orders, so they just made the best decision at that point. However, Fotis still had supervised visits with the kids, and his phone calls with the kids were also, monitored. On February 2018, Jennifer's dad passes away, so now she's dealing with a lot right now at this point. Her mom decides to sue Fotis for unpaid loans. They had let him borrow some money, for his company. The sum was roughly around $2 million. That's a lot. It's not like, hey, let me borrow $300. $2 million, guys. So this whole process then dragged on for 2 years, and there's still no resolution. Jennifer was building a new life with her 5 kids in New Canaan, and Fotis and his girlfriend, they had decided to move in together at the house that he and Jennifer shared together. Now fast forward to May 24th, 2019, Jennifer is seen dropping her children off at the New Canaan County School where her kids attended, and she's seen that same morning returning back home. Her car is seen around 8:05, and this is picked up on the neighbor's security camera. And that same day, guys, she had 2 doctor's appointments in New York City, and she missed both of the appointments. It was so concerning to friends and family, because that wasn't really like Jennifer. She would never just leave her kids, like dropping them off and then just leaving. Like, that just seemed so left field. Like, nobody thought that this was normal. That was just so out of character for her. After the 2 missed appointments that same day, her nanny and 2 of her friends then decide to report her missing because nobody was able to reach her. The nanny had arrived to her house that same morning at around 11:30. So they would have seen each other, because Jennifer is seen on that camera at 8:05, and then the nanny gets there around 11:30 or so. The nanny was just so shocked because Jennifer's Range Rover was in the garage. So Jennifer had 2 cars, the Range Rover and the Suburban. So what the camera picked up at 8:05, that was the Suburban coming in. The Range Rover was in the garage. So this was just so odd because Jennifer had planned on driving the Range Rover to New York City to those 2 missed appointments. So the Range Rover was there, and she had mentioned to the nanny that, hey, I'm gonna drive this Range Rover because it's just easier to just find a parking spot than the Suburban. It wasn't there either. So the Suburban was gone now. When detectives got there, they searched the house, and they just discovered like quite a few alarming things. One of them being there was blood splattered on the garage floor, and this wasn't like a lot, like a whole pool of blood, but it was definitely something alarming. And there was also some splattered on the wall and on the exterior of the Range Rover, which is kind of hard to tell because the Range Rover was black, but that wasn't it. There was also some on the kitchen faucet. Most of the blood was confirmed to be Jennifer's, with the exception of the kitchen faucet. The kitchen faucet had a mixture of Jennifer's and Fotis's, like, mixed together. So are you guys connecting the dots? So now this tells that Fotis was in her home at one point, and detectives had also believed that she was a victim of serious assault based on all this blood that they had found. So the Suburban is now seen, it was picked up on the neighbor's security camera at 10:25, but before that it was seen arriving to her house around 8:05. So it's seen arriving there, and then now it's seen taking off, but it wasn't believed that Jennifer was driving the SUV because Fotis. It was believed that Fotis was driving the vehicle, but not only that, they also believed that he was driving the vehicle with her body in tow and in their other cleaning up items in there. However, they never saw his vehicle like on camera, like arriving to her house. So how in the hell did he get there? At 5:22 a.m., Fotis is seen one of his homes in Farmington. That's about 2 miles away from his personal home. So this is another home that he has as a project. And he was not driving his own car, like his vehicle. He was driving one of his workers' red Tacoma. They had exchanged cars. So now the worker had Fotis's Ford Raptor and Fotis had the worker's red Tacoma. And the red Tacoma is seen multiple times heading to New Canaan. The truck is also seen parked 3 miles away from Jennifer's house. So now we know that, hey, whoever's driving this truck, the red Tacoma, that's Fotis. And then now get this, from where he parked the truck, Fotis is seen riding a bike to Jennifer's home at around 7 a.m. And, you know, again, Jennifer's Suburban is seen coming back to her house at around 8:05. It is speculated that Fotis opened and entered the house, or not the house, but entered the garage using the keypad and waited for her and assaulted her, and then drives her back in her Suburban to where that red truck is, and possibly moved her body and the cleanup supplies out of the red truck into his truck. Same day at around 7 p.m. And this is confirmed via Fotis's cell phone pings and also surveillance video of him in Hartford. So this is in a whole new city now. Some of the cameras show Fotis and his girlfriend Michelle now in his Ford Raptor. So now he's driving his truck and they are seen dumping trash bags in some nearby bins. What was in that trash? They recovered clothes covered in blood, bloody cleaning items like sponges, mops. It was just an indication that this is not normal. They also found what they believed was a shirt that Jennifer had worn earlier that day when she went missing, and also her bra. Also, in a nearby drain, in a FedEx box, they found license plates that had been altered, and they had belonged to Fotis at one point, and they had used tape to make different numbers. So 3 days later, May 27th, Jennifer's black Suburban is found about 3 miles away from her house. It was found on the side of the road near Waveney Park. And this park is gigantic, like 300 acres. It has several fields, ponds, trails, and it has like a mansion. Obviously nobody lives in there because now it's a park, but some family at one point lived there, and now that whole property is used as a park and the mansion is used for events. That's what they're doing with that property now. They searched everywhere, still were not able to find Jennifer's body. They also searched multiple properties in Farmington and surrounding areas and a home owned by Fotis's company. And you know, they were just trying to find old leads, but they didn't find her body. Just a few days later, on June 2nd, 2019, Fotis and his girlfriend Michelle were arrested at a hotel that they were staying at. Obviously, because it's like, hey, we know that something happened and we can't find this woman. They were charged with tampering with evidence, the bloody items, and hindering prosecution.
Jennifer Dulos vanished in 2019 during an ugly divorce and custody battle with her husband, Fotis Dulos. Michelle Troconis was the husband's mistress, and she faces multiple charges, including conspiracy to commit murder, tampering with evidence, as well as hindering prosecution.
And they went to court the next day. They both pleaded not guilty. They ended up getting out on bond with an ankle monitor. Shortly after that, now it's like the end of the summer, Fotis and Michelle were arrested for a second time for tampering with evidence. And again, they pleaded not guilty, bloody, whatever. And October, so right after they again bonded themselves out, they move out. They are asked to not have contact with each other. Now, on a few months later, January 7, 2020, Fotis was arrested and charged with capital murder, kidnapping, in the relation to Jennifer's disappearance. Sir, where's Jennifer's body? Michelle, not the girlfriend, was also arrested and she was charged with conspiracy to commit murder. At this point, Fotis was represented by his attorney friend Kent, and I'm so sorry guys, I don't know how to pronounce this. Okay, and the attorney friend was also charged with conspiring to commit murder in the death and disappearance of Jennifer Dulos.
Well, good evening, Matt. Yeah, 2 others arrested in the case. We want to start with attorney Kent McGuiney because within the last hour, he was brought here to Troop G. Let's recap about him. McGuiney is Fotis Dulos' civil attorney for the case against his mother-in-law, Gloria Farber.
So at this point, they believe that, hey, she's probably dead, even though we haven't found her body. And get this, guys, like the attorney friend, he was not a little, but a lot delulu. Alienated himself from his wife after he was being accused of spousal rape. His wife then goes to the police and tells them that, hey, she fears that Fotis and her husband were working together to kill her.
In an arrest warrant last year, McGuiney's wife told police it was suspicious that Fotis Dulos had such a sudden vested interest in their relationship, saying Dulos would call her and suggested the couple should talk without their lawyer. She also mentioned at one point that she feared for her life.
She already knows that something's up with these two. Like, she's not feeling it. She knows something shady is going on with them too. Authorities had also discovered a shallow grave at a secluded home that Kent, the attorney friend, owned. No body was recovered, but they did found like some weird stuff, like 2 bags filled with lime and a blue tarp. Like, who just buries that stuff? At this point, they were all out on bail and they were expected to appear in court at different times, different dates in 2020 to face their charges. So now the attorney friend, the girlfriend, and the husband are facing charges regarding the disappearance of Jennifer Dulos. On January 28th, so almost 4 years ago, Fotis did not make it to his scheduled emergency bond hearing. His new attorney then calls his new girlfriend, so not Michelle, now he has a new girlfriend at this point. He calls her and just tells her, hey, like, where is Fotis at? Because he didn't show up. He missed his court appearance. His girlfriend then explains that, hey, we made the decision to drive separately. Fotis was supposed to drive his vehicle and, I drove separately. However, Fotis's attorney told her that Fotis's GPS tracker showed that he was still at his home. And at this point, it's like the girlfriend thinks something's going on and she thinks that he might have done something to harm himself. And she asked the attorney to call 911. Police then perform a wellness check at his home and they found Fotis unresponsive in his car. He had ran a vacuum cleaner hose from the exhaust pipe of his car to the inside of, probably left the window cracked, and it was going to the inside of his vehicle. And as we all know, that results in carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's a desperate race to save the life of the man accused of killing his wife. Paramedics work feverishly, performing CPR on Fotis Dulos, the wealthy home builder who faces charges that he murdered his wife, Jennifer, 9 months ago. Dulos has been free on $6 million bail, but this morning it was reported that his bail was possibly going to be revoked. Faced with the threat of being sent back to jail to await his trial, Dulos apparently tried to take his own life. His body was found inside his car in the garage, the apparent victim of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Fotis was not pronounced dead until 2 days later, January 30th, 2020. He died at Jacobi Medical Center after he had been taken off life support. His kids did get a chance to see him before he passed. So now these 5 young kids don't have either one of them. It's just a sad situation. Fotis did leave a suicide note, and that note read, "I refuse to spend even an hour more in jail for something I had nothing to do with." I don't know. Evidence tells otherwise. And sadly, to this date, Jennifer's body still has not been found. She was declared dead 4 years later on October 24th, 2023. So even though they never found her body, she has been declared dead. It's just so unfortunate. And her husband Fotis is no longer here to tell what happened. The trial for this case started last week on January 11, 2024. There were no opening statements on that first day, which was odd. You know, I've been tuning in. There's been multiple officers taking the stand. Also, the nanny took the stand.
And back on the stand, the longtime nanny for the 5 Dulos children telling jurors what it was like the day their mother, Jennifer Dulos, disappeared.
Channel 3 New Haven Bureau Chief Matt McFarland has been in court throughout all of this. He's live right now in Stamford with more on what happened there today. Matt?
With that nanny, Lauren Almeida, who's worked for the Dulos family for a number of years, even continues to work for and care for those Dulos children, 5 children, actually living with them and their grandmother right now in New York City. Now, as for that testimony, Almeida first started taking care of those 5 Dulos children back in 2012, telling jurors she was first introduced to Michelle Troconis back in March of 2017 while on a spring break trip with the family to Miami. She testified shortly after that. Jennifer confided in her that she had proof Fotis was having an affair with Michelle. She went on to tell jurors she observed the couple's relationship deteriorate over the years, becoming tense with lots of arguing, and Jennifer becoming fearful of Fotis to the point where she and the kids moved out of the Farmington home without telling him. Now, when questioned about the day Jennifer disappeared, Almeida said she noticed a number of things that seemed out of place when she showed up to work in New Canaan. First, she said Jennifer's Range Rover, which she said she was going to take with her to New York City appointment, was still in the garage. Inside the house, she said she saw Jennifer's purse on the kitchen floor, something that was unusual, and a 12-pack of paper towels she said she had put in the pantry the night before was still now down to just 2 rolls. That's in step with the prosecution's claim that some sort of cleanup had happened in the garage. And when texts and calls to Jennifer that day went unreturned, Almeida felt something was off.
The second I called Jennifer, it's like my stomach just sank because she never not answered her phone. So I was really hopeful that she just got caught up with meetings and she was gonna be there. And so when she wasn't there, I just came, I was shocked, but also like, okay, I have the 4 kids in front of me, I don't know what to do. So I just put them into their appointments and I I just walked outside and I started to call people that could have heard from Jennifer.
The trial is expected to last 6 weeks, so probably end around the first week of March or so. I would also link the live to the trial in somewhere down below so you guys could tune in and just let me know what you guys think. I think it was just an unfortunate situation. I really do feel for the kids. 5 young kids lost both parents 2 different ways. It just sucks. Let me know what you guys think. Obviously with him gone, I mean, there goes that trial, but obviously the ex-girlfriend, Michelle, is still facing charges for this. So we're just gonna see how this whole trial unfolds and new information that they release. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.